Where's the ones that I've set for myself to play later? How do you even find that? That's one thing that I... Is it in my profile? Do I go to my profile? That could be it. Profile. Actually, I'm actually working on something that I can do. I just... What the fuck? I put the dog out when I play later. What the fuck? What? I sent it to my play later list. Why is it not there? God damn it. Unless it was removed. It's Captain something. Actually, I'll just look up Steve. I'll just look up Steve because it's by Steve. Okay. Hold on. I want to show you that dog thing, for that swimming dog thing first, and then I'll show you what I've been working on. Steve. There. See, that's what I'm talking about. Let me just find the creation. Here it is. Captain Shadow. So, this is just too much. This guy is insane. Although he works at Media Molecule. You can see the water effects on him. He also gets shiny when he's wet. He leaves smoke behind. You'll notice he's drying off a bit. He can wall jump. He has expressions, which you can change. He has a passive where he starts to just fall asleep, like a passive animation set. He's got power-ups. This is probably like this is what you'd expect people to make in this game when people have had nearly as much time as Steve has had to use these tools. Steve is also a god. I should say this in advance. He was a community member that got a job at Media Molecule because of how good his Little Big Planet levels were. So that's just to give you an idea of how insane Steve is. Also, he's got a whole functioning grab system as well. What a god. Oh, and the ability to selectively phase through objects. This man's is my hero. Steve is just fucking crazy. Like, look at this nonsense. There's no actual water here. This is all just logic, sensors, and gyroscopes. My man's has a vision, and his vision is to make beautiful things. He can make anything happen. That is why he is my god. I just don't know why they don't put, like, pug or water in the tags. No, you sink. You could make it do that, but... Oh, when you swim sideways, he does. But if you just stop, the dog sinks. I forget what the... Oh, wait, what? There it is. L2 is the slam attack. Yeah, he does. That's what it's actually. That there's actually a depth of field effect. You might not be able to notice it, but there's a depth of field. The stuff at that far wall is slightly blurry, and he's also got a camera distortion going on. I think he's changing. He's making it change the zoom slightly over time with the randomizer. But there's a depth of field effect when underwater. You see there's that little blurry trail behind him? That's text gadgets, which are spawning randomly. Also, this is randomized as well. This right here, those effects are all randomized. Like those sparks, it's actually attached to a spinning disc, which is spinning at like a trillion like rotations per second, and just firing them off in random directions. I know that from the stream when they were talking about it. But here, let me show you what I was working on for about 30 minutes earlier. Um, I was driving myself insane trying to figure out how to do this, but it took a bunch of iterations to get this to work right. So let me just edit. Not really. I was at it for like an hour or two. I can't remember exactly how long it was. It was actually for fucking ever. But it was because I had to start from scratch like 7 different times because I tried a bunch of different ways to do this, and this is the way I didn't want to have to do it, but it turns out to work perfectly. So let me show you. Let me just go into play mode. And I don't have the rope attached at the moment. I would, but shit. The camera breaks if you go into actual play mode. I forgot I have to go into test mode to do this. So let's go to tools. No, it's in modes. Modes, test, unfreeze time, and then fucking. Why is the camera doing this? Okay. Anyways, the thing that I wanted to, I've been trying to get was a functioning rope system that you could extend and shorten. That is fucking ridiculous, by the way. It took me forever to figure out a way to do it, but effectively, I was trying to connect a rope to the character for the longest time, which is not a thing you can do because the game functionally just doesn't let you do it for some fucking reason. So I had to create pretty much a bunch of follower gadgets plus a tag attached to the rope, and then the rope is connected to math over here that's attached to the right stick, and it's doing really smooth math equations that are based on the percentage of the right stick that's going up and down. Anyways, I had to find out the right amount because if you put a direct 1-to-1 value, that rope would go from 0 to a billion in like half a second because it's on continuous iteration, which means it updates for a full value every frame, which means it would extend to like 100 in a quarter of a second. So I had to find out the right maths to use to make it work. But I got that working. The next step is to start from scratch again, using this idea, and then putting a big logic chain that determines what's following what to make these two independent objects follow the puppet when it's not grappling, and then when it's grappling, make the puppet follow this, and this follow a third object, which would have a different tag on it, and then create logic for this selecting the closest object, not the furthest object. Which will be fun, but I can do it, because I have it all in my head. It'll just take forever. That is because those aren't visible. I have another solution for that specifically. I figured this out yesterday. It's not that impressive, but I'm glad I figured it out. There's an invisible rope here, which you would see if I was in full edit mode. And then this is a string that I painted. It's pretty garbage. And then, yeah. It doesn't look quite right because I'm not, the other end's detection is round and it's attached to a square shape. So it doesn't terminate at the right spot. So when I get around to doing it, I'll use a spherical object as the endpoint. And I also want to do, if I turn it into a grappling system, this here will, let me just reset it. I'm going to have the math. I'm going to have the math that's used to determine the length of the string also determine the Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Fleck density here, which determines the number of flecks, like that. So by whatever percentage of the max length the rope is, it's going to reduce this. And because that will make it so that when the string gets shortest, it's not going to be every single point of the rope squished into a small space the way it is now. So that'll prevent it from looking retarded. In that way, at least. But that'll be simple because I'll just have to put a fraction equation in to make that work. The only problem I might have is if the string... It's not like I'm just figuring out the individual components. I have first had to figure out how the fuck all of these systems work. Like I had this as a different working prototype, which I might end up having to use anyways. Because this one works entirely differently. This string is attached to a rigid object, but it still works in terms of it can get shorter if I can just... Alright, I need to stop that. Go back, and then... Fucking... Ah! Oh wait, I need to rotate it. There we go. Why are you rigid, you bitch? You shouldn't be rigid. There we go. Okay, you saw it got shorter for a second. I don't know why it was rigid. Fuck. Reset. Fucking stop. I don't know why it's being weird. For some reason, when you close and reopen something that you've edited, it doesn't save properly. Or it doesn't function properly when you restart it. Hold on. I need to turn back on visualization of... Where's... Oh, visualization. Show hide. Where is... Connectors. There we go. I need to see the connector. Let me just... Don't save changes. Edit. Show. Connectors. There we go.